So I just aced my philosophy test the other day. The question was, what is the central question of epistemology? I answered, how should I know? Hello guys, I'm back again. I'm just going to be making a short video this time talking about one strategy that I think is a little bit niche, but not really too unknown. I think most people have thought about this before or heard about it. At least if you've seen the lineup of Early Age Arcoscephale, you will see that, for example, they have these units called the Philosopher. And what's special about the Philosopher is that he has good research as it is. He's basically a pure researcher. He doesn't do anything else but research. But he also gets a Philosopher special ability, which gives him bonus research for every single unit of sloth in whatever province he's in. So what that means is per point of sloth, he will get +2 research, and he will also get extra points again for magic scales. So right now, you can see this is the capital of my empire, Arcoscephale. I have 3 magic and 3 sloth. These are my scales up here. And you can see I'm getting about 19 research out of every single philosopher. So basically this idea is going for a philosopher rush type build. And let's take a look at the game map here. This is just a test game I was playing. I tried a few test games like this and they both went surprisingly well, better than I thought. Because basically whenever I heard or talked to someone about doing a philosopher rush or a philosopher focused build as Arcoscephale, mostly I got a lot of negative feedback, and people said that you wouldn't have enough mages. You'd not be able to produce enough units. It'd be really poor expansion. And I'd seen another example online where someone did a philosopher focused rush, a philosopher focused build, and they had just a handful of provinces by the beginning of year 1. They had just less than 10 provinces. They also had barely any income, barely anything going on. Just a lot of good research, and that was it. But you can see here, I've actually had quite a good expansion. So you can see I'm very big. And what is it? It's year 2, the beginning of year 2. This is the start of year 2, about turn 24. So by 24 turns, how many provinces do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So not too bad. And I did lose a few provinces to random events. For example, this one I lost to a random event. And this one I just lost last turn to a random event. So a bit unfortunate, but, I would have done it better. And I think this is a pretty lazy expansion as well. I didn't put too much effort into expansion, but I really had no problem at all. And I'll talk a little bit how I did that as well. But the main star of the show is the Philosophers. So I'm getting a lot of research from these Philosophers. Let's look at my research. I'm getting 436 research per month. In turn 24, beginning of year 2, I have 2 magic paths at level 5 already, and I'm almost at level 5 with alteration. Maybe 1 or 2 more turns, I'll have level 5 alteration. So that's the start of turn 2. I already have 3 paths at level 5, which is really, really excellent. Now, I just chose these 3 pretty randomly. I think these are all pretty useful for you as Arcoscephale. It's debatable what you should go for first. The first one I went for was Conjuration. I was thinking that in case I hit another enemy pretty early, it would be nice to have some elementals really quickly. So by level 3 Conjuration, I'd get the small elementals, and that'll allow most of my mages, the mages I have, to start doing something, putting out some elementals. And then by Conjuration 5, I'll get the big elementals, which give me a big advantage in an early war. After that, I went with Enchantment to quickly get up to Foul Vapors. Now, as Arcoscephale, you can cast Foul Vapors pretty easily. Your kind of national big mage, the Oread, she can have a pretty good chance of casting Foul Vapor. She is a natural nature 3, and 25% of them will get a water random. So those will be able to cast Foul Vapors pretty easily. And I actually have a battle here against a throne, which I'll show in a second, where these mages and just a handful of troops, as well as my god. This is my god here. I didn't really bother doing anything special with her. but I went with the Mother of Monsters god. They handled this province really well, so let's take a look at this battle here. And this battle involved both air elementals as well as foul vapors, so it really cleaned up the province really, really well. And again, that's the beginning of year 2 with quite a lot of research. If I had focused a little bit more, now I have a few provinces here. I have 1, 2, 3 castles. I have another fort here, which I haven't started recruiting anything yet. I should be recruiting mystics here. And I have another fort here, which I've just built. I need to send a priest out, or no, sorry, not a priest, but a mage out there to start doing something. Let's get you to site search. These guys should be site searching everywhere. Right. I'll get back to that later. Let's take a look at this battle for the throne and see how well it went. So this is the battle. I had not too big of an army, and I think most of my losses were actually from the foul vapors rather than combat. But you can see a pretty big force, a few mages, and all of them got wiped out basically by the foul vapors and the air elementals. But let's take a look at that. So here's my army here, just a handful of the Arcoscephales. These guys are decent because they're pretty cheap. With Sloth, and also I took a little bit of Turmoil 1. It's hard to put out a lot of your better units, like the Myrmidons or the Chariots. So I've mostly been relying on these guys as my main expansion force, these guys and some other cheap units, as well as my Sacrets, because I took a fairly decent bless. I took Withering Weapons, I believe, as well as Blood Surge and Poison Resistance. So you see these guys are poison resistant and stuff like that too. But let's take a look at the battle. You see, here's my god. Actually, she's done very well for my expansion. She's really, really wounded. Lost an arm, has a Nevelarian wound, has a chest wound, she's weakened. She's been beat up a lot. I've been expanding with her quite easily. After about a couple turns to craft a black steel helmet and a black steel plate, she really had no issue expanding. Now, I didn't put her into any really difficult provinces, but with her natural poison cloud and general pretty strong ability, plus her Dominion monster spawning, she's been fairly capable at expanding, at least within my own Dominion. Let's take a look here. And there goes Foul Vapors. There are the Air Elementals. The Wind Riders are cleaning up the back row as well. Just taking out all the mages. These guys really clean up, while everyone else is stuck up front dealing with the Arcoscephales. And I forgot the Icarids. These are pretty nice as well. They're a little bit cheaper than Myrmidons, and they fly, so that's kind of nice. All right, so cleaned them up really, really quickly. And you can see how big a difference having that early research makes. And like I said, I was just kind of choosing stuff a little bit haphazardly. I think in a real game, like an online game, I should say, you'd have to be more careful with what you pick. But you can see I'm definitely not spoiled for choice. I'm pretty early in the game still, early mid-game, and I've already got quite decent research. I could easily have gotten any of these up to a much higher research level, like 7 maybe. Having 3 level 5 research paths is really excellent. For example, maybe online, what I might try to focus on first is getting a little bit into Thaumaturgy, maybe get to Thaumaturgy 2 or 3 to get Mind Burn. I can even rush up Soul Slay, but it's not guaranteed that I'll get any big Astral Mages, so I don't know if it's really worth it. I think generally online, what I'd like to do is dip a little bit into Thaumaturgy to get maybe Mind Burn, go to Thaumaturgy 2, as well as maybe Enchantment, I don't know. I think definitely I get Thaumaturgy 2, then probably try to go for Alteration. If I'm playing a game without any other big nature nations, it might be worth to really rush for Mother Oak. Just because, you know, this is the kind of thing that just only benefits you. It doesn't have any downsides for you. It's only good, and you get it really early. So if you can get that up first, that'll be really nice. And it's really easy for you to cast this. Nature 3 is guaranteed, basically. Nature 4 is pretty common, and all you need is a booster to get Nature 5. So if you boost up your construction a little bit, you can get the Thistle Mace, or even, for example, my God could pretty easily cast it. Just again, a booster for my God can easily cast Mother Oak. I can even take a little bit higher nature on my God. I think if I was going to make the God again, I would actually maybe go a little bit lower with the blood magic and take a bit higher nature to go for something like regeneration or berserk or something like that. So I don't know. This is okay. This was okay, but I think I wouldn't really use blood magic further on in the game. So I don't really care about having that high blood magic. I think having a little bit higher nature and maybe a little bit higher death would be more useful for me as Arcoscephale. But again, it's up to you. I've been pretty happy with Mother of Monsters. Another build I went was with Manticore, just with hard skin and I believe Blood Surge. And that was quite good as well. I had a great time expanding with that and made the Wind Riders really beefy as well. But let's actually exit out of here. So you can see this is the setup I have. Most of my expansion armies look something like this. This guy's has a bunch of Myrmidons. This is pretty hard for me to produce Myrmidons, so I'm not making that many. This has been many turns of production. In general, most of my armies are just Cardaces and maybe some Slingers, and a few of them have Icarids thrown in to kind of hassle the back line. So that's been pretty decent for me in terms of expanding. You can also expand with Chariots too. Chariots are pretty nice. They'll trample and deal with a lot of human indie troops. So if you can afford them, if you can make enough of them, Chariots might be nice as well. Even if you can't, just make a couple of them is nice to throw in the back line. But in general, I've been pretty satisfied with the Cardace expansion and throwing in a few Icarids and Slingers as well to boost them up a little bit. But let's exit out of here. Let's go back into God Design and talk about how you can build the game up. Actually, sorry, I should say before we go, I'll talk about my strategy for producing Philosophers. So basically, you can see these are all the Philosophers I've produced in the game. Not too many, but because they're getting so much research, they more than hold up their own weight. Still, a big drawback of this kind of build is you don't end up with that many of your other mages, especially your very valuable cap-only mages. So you definitely want to make some of these guys. Basically, what I've been doing is alternating. For the first few turns, I was making basically Philosophers only. Every so often, I pop out another mage. For example, I made a Mage Engineer, and I sent him around to other provinces to upgrade these forts. So you can see some of these forts. Which one? This guy has a Mage Engineer. I sent him over here to upgrade the fort, and I sent him over here previously as well to upgrade this fort. So I sent some of these guys around to upgrade forts and do some other business. Plus, they get like the Earth 2, which is nice if I want to summon the Earth Elementals pretty easily. Beyond that, I also summoned a couple of these ones, the Melissa, because of the healing ability, because all these guys are old men. I just got one of these in the province to help heal any afflictions they might get. So some of these guys do get afflicted, like this guy got a chest wound. I guess he coughed his, I don't know, he coughed his like lung out or something because he's so old. He got a chest wound. So having one of these in the province will help your old guys get a little bit more staying power. And after the first year, I started alternating. So I'd alternate between a Philosopher and maybe an Oread, or a Philosopher and another mage like a Mage Engineer. And maybe into the mid-game, I might just stop making Philosophers altogether and just start making Oreads. But again, it really depends. This is a very greedy strategy for sure. Anyone who really wants to push you, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you don't have many big mages and you may be in big trouble. So you have to be careful and try to produce a few mages, but it's really up to you how to balance that, how to balance making Philosophers and making mages, especially Oreads. The big plus side of this build is that you're getting so much research, you can actually send a huge number of your mages out and not really suffer that much for losing research. You can see I got a lot of mystics out here site searching. 1, 2, where else? I have a bunch more. Mage here, there's 2 of them here. One here. One up here, he's up here, and I think another one around here. I have quite a few mystics just all around the place, just site searching everywhere. Mystics are great for site searching because they get a pretty wide variety of paths. And you can see I only started site searching around like the beginning of year 2, maybe around turn 20 or turn 18, 19. And I've already got pretty decent gem income for all the gems. The worst income I got is maybe nature or death. I'd really like more nature. That's why Mother Oak would be really useful for me. But most of my gems, I've really good gem income, and I really only started site searching really, really late. But again, enough talking about this game. This is just a test game, as I said. Let's go back out of here and take a look at some God design ideas. All right, so let's go into the Creative Pretender God for Arcoscephale. And as I said, I want to be focusing on my Philosophers. Now, this is not a overview of Arcoscephale. I'm not really going to talk much about the other things. Arcoscephale is a very cool nation. You got a lot of nice things. I talked about the mage engineers. These are masons, so you can get like castles in the early age, which is nice. You have these skeptics, who are basically a stealthy heretic. You can send these guys around to shit talk in other nations. You also have these generic engineers, which are just a recruit anywhere engineer. These are okay, but I wouldn't really get these that much since the mage engineer is just better, and you can send these guys out to the provinces. I guess you can get one of these if you don't want to recruit the mage engineer in your capital, but whatever, it's up to you. Then you have healer, and then you have your Oread, who's just a really great big beefy mage with awe and seduction. But let's talk about the god design. So I have a few ideas for god design. My first one was Mother of Monsters, and this is what I went with in the game. You can see my stats here. I went with her awake, obviously. I think something like this, and then, yeah, exactly like this. And then my blesses were Withering Weapons. This is a little bit for later game to make the Wind Riders a little bit, have a bit more staying power. I also took Poison Resistance, Low Light Vision, and Resilient. And then I also took Blood Surge. The reason I went with Low Light Vision is I quite like this as a Nature Bless since it's only 1 point, and there's so many situations where you are fighting in darkness, whether it's late game, people are casting Mist, or Eclipse, or just darkness itself. Plus, you may want to cast Mist later. You have quite decent air mages in your nation, and you do have the ability to cast Eclipse with some of your mystics that will get lucky with certain randoms. So having low light vision really helps out if you do want to be casting these darkness spells. That'll give you a nice advantage over your opponents, so I like to throw that in if I can. Poison resistance is because I know I'm going to be using foul vapors, so having some troops that are poison resistant is nice for that. So this bless was okay, and as I said, I had no problems expanding with Mother of Monsters. She does also pump out some monsters every so often, so those are pretty nice to help with the expansion a little bit as well. Another option I went with is a Manticore, or sorry, the Man-Eater, right? He is a Manticore, but he's a Man-Eater. I went with something pretty simple, just a Hard Skin Bless and Blood Surge. And something very similar, I do have to go a little bit lower with some of these stats. I may cut Growth down, but I don't know, maybe it's worth to go Turmoil too. Since I do have Luck, maybe worth to go a little bit more Turmoil. Something like this is okay, and the Man-Eater expands quite well. He's really good. He can fly, he has Fear, he has natural poison resistance, so that's great for fighting if you want to help him fight out in a battle. And Blood and Earth is pretty decent. You can have him Blood Hunt later, but you have to be careful because he's a population killer. So while he's blood hunting, he'll also be killing extra population, so that's not great as well if you want him to actually collect a lot of slaves. But still, that's nice. And I think this is a great expander. Man-Eater's pretty decent as an expander. He has many attacks and expands quite well. Still, I kind of like a Titan for this type of build, just because you can expand with some Titans. If you pick a good Titan, you can expand with them. And Titans give you a little bit more magic diversity, which you're definitely going to need, as you're not going to be making as many mages as Early Age Arcoscephale while you're focusing on Philosophers, rather than a more traditional build. So I kind of like a Titan for this type of build, because the Titans will give you some really important magic diversity, and they will also help you expand a little bit. So Mother of Monsters expands pretty well. I didn't have any problems with it. Another Titan you can try as well might be Titan of the Underworld. This gives you Earth and Death, and this guy is good for expansion mostly because he can do an assassination expansion. He's a great assassin. He can assassinate pretty much everything. Plus, you can do some really cheesy stuff with him, like since he's invisible and he's a great assassin, you can move him on an enemy capital and just have him assassinate every single unit or mage they produce every single turn. So that can be really funny. But in general, this guy can help with expansion a little bit too. Another option might be, you could try the Drakina. I don't really like Drakina that much for expansion. She does have Fear, which makes it a little bit easier, and she's naturally poison resistant, and she's unsurroundable, so she's not bad. She has 3 attacks as well, which is a little bit better than Mother of Monsters, who has one shitty attack. but the Poison Cloud is mostly why you'd get her, as well as the monster spawning. You could try with Drakina. She's not bad. These paths are pretty good. Nature is decent for you, and so is Death. And Water will help you a little bit. Water will be nice for some defensive bonuses. Who else might expand? Maybe Titan of War and Wisdom. She does have Fear, and these paths can be pretty nice. You can go for something like, how much does she cost? 230, not too much. You could go with a Hard Skin Bless, as I did before. And what else? It's a little bit tricky what I would do with this. Maybe go for, I don't know if I'd even want any air magic. Maybe even go with just these two. Go for Hard Skin, and maybe something like Magic Weapons or Arcane Finesse, depending if you want to buff your mages or buff your Wind Riders. The Magic Weapons will help them fight, any kind of ethereal unit, especially if there's a Therados in the game. This might help. But it depends on you. I think both those could be good. And she could be okay for expanding, but I've never tried expanding with her, so don't take that too seriously. The two I tried expanding with were the Mother of Monsters. Sorry, and who's the other one? And the Great Archon. So I expanded with this guy pretty well. He's 3 attacks plus a magic weapon plus decent armor to start with. He doesn't have a helmet, which is kind of a problem. He can take a crown. So you do have to be careful with him. I still kind of prefer someone who can take a helmet, because getting headshot really, really, really sucks. Titan of the Crossroads could be good as well. The 2 Banefire Torches, this could be an option. And she's a Trinity, so she can help with expansion a lot. So this could be a great option for you as well. She also spawns some Lampads and some Hounds. So if you want to try something like this, actually, you know what? Maybe this is a great option too. This might be a little bit better, because I tend to like nature for Early Age Arcoscephale. I might take 5 nature here. Go with Berserker. Something like that even. Maybe Arcane Finesse and Withering Weapons. Something like that. I would have to change my stats here a little bit. This is a little bit unfortunate. But, ooh, that'd be very tight. But this could work as well. Maybe instead of Arcane Finesse, something else could be good as well, like Farcaster or Magic Resistance. I kind of like Farcaster, actually. This might be nice, because it allows some of your weaker mages, like your Mystics, to shoot fireballs or things from the back row. So maybe that might be a little bit more useful for you, since you're going to be pretty random in what kind of magic you get. It's nice to have your mages sit in the back. Your mages are going to be a little bit of a precious resource for you. So having the uncommon mages you do get sit pretty far away from the action and fire whatever out could be nice. So maybe something like this could be pretty good. Berserker's okay. That might help your Wind Riders a little bit. And Withered Weapons is more of a tech bless. But you could also go with something like Undying, if you just want to have a bit more staying power. So I think this could be a good bless as well, though it doesn't really give her much in the way of protection. Maybe it might be worth, instead of that, to go 1 more for Death and go with Stygian Flesh, then drop Nature down by 1 and go with the Poison Resistance as well as Low Light Vision and Resilient that I went with before. So maybe this would be better. This would give her a little bit more protection, since she'd have 10 natural protection instead of just 4, which is pretty miserable. Plus she has Fear, and again, she's a Titan as well. Sorry, not a Titan. She's a Trinity as well, so that'll help her a lot. Plus the Banefire Torches will give you some nice Banefire magic ability. So this could work as well. I know Titan of the Crossroads is a decent expander. She has a nice little party that'll spawn with her at the battle. She has pretty good attack, and she has pretty good stats all around, but she is a little bit squishy, so you have to be careful with her. I still prefer the Mother of Monsters, or maybe one of these other ones as well. But still, those are a few good options for you. I definitely like a Titan for this type of setup, because you get that magic diversity, and you get that late game potential. Once you get a lot of research going, you can quickly turn your Titan God into an early game super combatant, since if you can, for example, rush construction, get some of your mages to construct some useful gear, you can have a very early game, like a year 1 super combatant out there causing trouble. So that is really, really scary. So you can think about all kinds of things, whatever you can do. Considering, like I said, I got my first level 5 research before year 1. I had it in year 0 still. I think the winter of year 0, I had level 5 conjuration. And I didn't have any mages at the time, but, you know, 1 or 2 mages is all you really need to cause some big trouble for an enemy who basically has no research by that time. So, for example, if I had like 2 mages that could cast fire elementals, for example, or earth elementals, I don't know what a nearby enemy could really do with that. Like, they couldn't do much about it. They'd be a little bit fucked. So that's a big option for you. And again, an early game super combatant can really turn the tide here. So really consider that out. And of course, there's many more options for you. I just want to suggest this for you guys to really think about the Philosopher next time you try to play Early Age Arcoscephale. I think he's a really underrated unit, and I think I will really like to try using these a lot more next time. They definitely get ignored a lot, and I think you shouldn't ignore them. I think you should really try to leverage their ability. Think about all that research and all that benefit you can get. This is definitely a game about getting big magic, and not only does he give you that research, he really frees up your mages from doing mage like research duty. Like having your mages sit in your forts doing research, that's such a waste, to be honest. You can have them going out, doing stuff, site searching, fighting in battles, like have them do something useful. So even if you have less mages, you have more mages you can actually take out and use for something productive. Your capital can even just become a big research center, pumping up philosophers, as well as your Oreads every so often, and then just have all your other forts producing mages to go out and do other things, do mage stuff. So consider that again, and think about the Philosopher next time. But either way, guys, I'm going to end the video here, just a short video, so I'll see you guys again next time.